Oh, it's recording.
Never been a part of something obviously anywhere near this traumatic. And so I'm hearing the gunfire in the hallway, and I'm thinking in my mind, I'm in the first classroom. Why isn't he coming? You know, I'm thinking we're next, and you know, and in my mind I'm thinking, you know, as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, what are your thoughts? What are your, you know, and I'm thinking that I have to almost be their parent. Like I have to tell them, you know. So I said to them, I said, I need you to know that I love you all very much, and that it's going to be okay, because I thought that was the last thing they were ever going to hear. I thought we were all going to die. You know, and I don't know if that's okay, you know, teachers, and, you know, but I wanted them to know someone loved them, and I wanted that to be one of the last things they heard. Not the gunfire in the hallway. It's so horrible. Horrible.
How did you know you were going to be okay?
I didn't. What finally happened was the gunfire stopped. The gunfire wasn't that long, so that stopped, but I said, no, we're not going anywhere. We're staying here until someone good comes and gets us out. So eventually what happened was the police came and started knocking, and obviously...
Ian Sargent. Michael Cervola.
My name is Michael Cervola, Deerfield Beach, and I've spoken, this is the third time. Last time I was here, I was rather confrontational, although I used my best low tone, and it didn't come across the way I expected. I challenged you to use the word emergency in order to empower you to action, so you could take action that apparently you thought you couldn't before. I'm not going to ask you to use the word emergency today. I don't believe it's necessary. I am here to communicate that we can know how many kids were bullied, not in 2011 or 2012, not statistically, but how many kids in individual schools, for example, Deerfield Beach Middle or pick a school, we can know how many were bullied last week and compare it to this week. And then next week, we can say, oh look, there's 10 more kids being bullied this week, or 10 more kids that say that they're considering suicide or something of that nature, and we can address it. Okay, we do not have that capability now, and that is what I'm talking about. And it's very simple to accomplish. I did bring some signs, which you were very graciously allowing, which is this. I can hold it up. I also want to add, even though I limited myself to 2 signs, I don't think anyone will complain. And I did agree not to walk with these in front of any schools because I don't want to be divisive. We're all on the same side in this. I think there can be no doubt as to that. Okay, this is a powerful tool that will provide numbers. No one need be afraid of numbers. No one will be held accountable or liable if you discover that 8 out of 10 kids are in crisis, or 6 out of 10, or 4 out of 10. The national numbers, although everyone agrees they're wrong, is 1 out of 5 are in serious crisis or have been victimized. I've never heard anyone say that that number is low. Okay, please take out a penny, toss it. Let me ask you a personal question. If the answer, if it's heads, you say yes. I can ask you all if you're gay, okay? Flip the coin. You'll say yes or no. I won't know whether you're responding to the head on the coin or to the truth. But when I take all of you together, if there's 100 of you, I know that 50% should have said yes or no based on the flip of the coin. So it's very easy for me to then come back to you and say, hey, guess what? 20% of the people on this board are gay, but none of you are marked out, okay? We can ask children personal questions without any intrusion of rights. And by the way, we speak a lot about adult rights. I never hear anyone talk about the rights of children to be safe. They're little people, okay, but they are not adults. They should never be put in jail. If you want to put kids in jail, then write it into the law. Say, we want to put kids in jail at 17, or 16, or 15, or 14, or 13, or 12, or 11. They cannot clamp shut on being children just because we call them students or because they step over a line. I believe I may have exceeded my time and talked these very strange things, but
Yes, if you could wrap up, Mr. Cibola, please.
You know, because of what has just happened, I think I pretty much thank you for the signs because I talked too much. But I did want to say one more thing in regard to what just happened, and I will use this time, I apologize for this, but that teacher who was a hero, her heroism had to shine through the system which you represent. Not that you're bad, but the system, okay, forced her mind to make an excuse. When I heard the interview, her first thought was to apologize to you, to the things you represent. She apologized. She said, this is a quote, "I know I shouldn't have said I love the children." She not only apologized for that, but she went on to explain that the reason was because she thought it would be the last thing they ever heard. What type of system is it that a teacher feels she has to make an explanation in the first place or apologize? And that also means, by the way, as it happened, as that person was there, her brain had to actually process, and part of her brain was saying, oh, this is something you shouldn't say. Another part had to say, countermand that and say, oh no, it's a man outside with a gun, go ahead and say it. That fraction of a second, we are all accountable for. Her brain, that blood shouldn't have been flowing to that part of her brain. There should be no part of anyone's brain that says, I can't tell a first grader that I love them. Teachers do not appreciate, because we have not instructed them properly as to what the real job is there. It's not to get good grades. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate the time. I went way over. Thank you. This woman has something
Juliet
important to say. Please listen.
Mr. Runcie and the school board members, I am so confused. One, let me remind you of the case that was filed against me. The student was 18 years old. Her parents had cyberbullied her about her sexual orientation publicly on Twitter. And after I properly reported the incidents as required by law and Broward School's policy, I was charged with professional misconduct for possibly contributing to that student's homosexuality. This case got investigated. Ridiculous. I don't understand. Someone please explain to me how a teacher at Cypress Bay is allowed to sleep with an 18-year-old student. It's okay. He still has his job. But I was investigated for contributing to the homosexuality of a student? That's insane. Okay, this is allowed. Someone please needs to explain to me why there is still no investigation into John Marlowe. 9 months ago, I began writing this body. 9 months. I warned you that things would happen at Deerfield. What happened 3 weeks later? A student was sexually assaulted. At what point do you choose to take any action? Recently, I called and requested public information about the SIU cases that had been filed at Deerfield Beach High for the last 5 years. This was supposed to be a matter of public record. David Gold responded with the number of 5 cases over 5 years. I know of more cases than that in 2. So I expressed that. When I questioned it, I got 8 cases on 5 years. I still know of more. And that was in 2 years, not 5. So what I'm now requesting is that parents and teachers have a right to know how many cases have been filed by a principal or a school, cleared, and action taken for each schools. Students, parents, and teachers have a right to protect themselves. This information needs to be posted on the website listed for each school. When are your anti-bullying policies going to mean anything? Because right now they mean nothing. How can you support the lesbian, gay, bi, and transgender students, and this case of mine could even be investigated? It tells me that Broward School is even in a bigger mess than the indictment indicated a few years ago. Everything is just paper until you take some action. I never went even public until student safety was an issue. I wrote several school board members and Mr. Runcie warning them of the unsafe conditions at Deerfield Beach High and expressed my fear that something bad was going to happen. Unfortunately, I had to live with the fact that 3 weeks later a student was sexually assaulted. She was then violated by administration who told her she should get over it because she wasn't raped by a male administrator. The levels of corruption in this district are absurd. If Broward School's police can lie about the number of cases, which is supposed to be a matter of public record, that's the SIU department, then it needs to be dissolved. And Mr. Runcie, if you can't keep your word regarding something as simple as an investigation, then sir, you need to resign. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Mary.
never been a part of something obviously anywhere near this traumatic. And so I'm hearing the gunfire in the hallway, and I'm thinking in my mind, I'm in the first classroom. Why isn't he coming? You know, I'm thinking we're next, and you know, and in my mind I'm thinking, you know, as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, what are your thoughts? What are your, you know, and I'm thinking that I have to almost be their parent. Like I have to tell them, you know. So I said to them, I said, I need you to know that I love you all very much, and that it's going to be okay, because I thought that was the last thing they were ever going to hear. I thought we were all going to die. You know, and I don't know if that's okay, you know, teachers, and, you know, but I wanted them to know someone loved them, and I wanted them, that to be one of the last things they heard. Not the gunfire in the hallway. It's so horrible. So horrible. Horrible.
How did you know you were going to be okay? What
I
happened?
didn't. What finally happened was the gunfire stopped. The gunfire wasn't that long, so that stopped, but I said, no, we're not going anywhere. We're staying here until someone good comes to get this out. So eventually what happened was the police came and started knocking, and obviously, I mean,